Morning, Fractal Effects team. If you're following along with us today, make sure you're doing a demo account. This is for educational purposes only. Since we're still in the early morning trade, please make sure you read the disclosure on our website, fractaleffects.com, the footer section. We are not financial advisors, and this is not financial advice. So we have a double break to the upside, and the market is now retracing. I'd like to see an entry somewhere here to go long right into previous day's high. Maybe a little higher to take out the next 4-hour liquidity right here. That's the daily consequence encroachment. I believe there was a daily wick. So here's our DSD low. A lot of areas kind of marked up here. Just going to go back up to the 5M. See if we left a bearish. So 2 minutes, 36 seconds left in this candle. Let's see if we create another one and leave a bearish 5M fair value gap, which we'll use as an inverse when the market comes back up. I'm only interested in a buy now, not looking for a sell. The only way I'll switch to a sell is if this market keeps dropping all the way to take out the bottom of the manipulation zone. Right there, we're getting a good rejection. I'd like to see now a 5M fair value gap be created. Got US 500 here on the right. We'll use this as divergence. I'll just see if that 5M is created. Otherwise, I'm kind of interested to see what it does right around this area. Getting a bounce off that DSD as well. There's your new week opening gap, new day opening gap. There's a lot of stuff in here. We also had a news drop at 10 o'clock, about 24 minutes ago. Still no 5M fair value gap. Market still digging a little deeper. So in the process of leaving this 5M fair value gap behind, let's see if it does. We'll use that as an inverse for when the market pushes back up. Remember, when we get a double break, the only thing that'll change that bias for me is one of two things. One, we actually take liquidity or hit a higher time frame inefficiency. So that's the previous day's high. And there's Asia high. London high and, actually sorry, that's London high. I believe Asia's a little below it. We also have an upside expansion model. So we haven't taken any major liquidity yet. Without taking any liquidity or hitting a higher time frame fair value gap, which US 500 has, by the way. We're sitting that entire purple box right there. That's a 4-hour, massive 4-hour fair value gap that US 500 is sitting in. So we want to proceed with caution. But the only thing that'll change my bias other than that is if we double break to the downside. Take out the manipulation zone right here. We break it once and we break it twice and leave a 5M fair value gap. That will change my bias. But until that happens, today is Tuesday. Tuesday does set the low for the week, usually, if we're bullish, and it sets the high for the week if we're bearish. And the only time you go against that, though, is if our model is telling us different. We're right at the DSD. As mentioned before, I'm still bullish. These highs right here, that's not enough liquidity for me to be comfortable to say that this thing now wants to push down. We did bounce off the purple zone here. Purple and blue zone. We did have a sell model, but then we had a double break to the upside. I'm just going to switch back to the 5M. No point in watching these 1Ms. So it looks like it's making its way all the way down here into our New York opening gap. Do have a lot of zones painted here. Let me just turn some of these off. So about 50 seconds left in this candle. Looks like we're rejecting off of our DSD low. We did violate it, came up over it, and now we're right back in the middle. And there's your New York fair value gap. Could just tap right into it. We have already touched it here. And then I'm going to take the inverse of this 5M fair value gap here. I want to see the market get above this and create a 5M bullish fair value gap. That's the goal now. Our dealing range is fully formed. Let's make that green, just so I can see it. So yeah, as mentioned before, our dealing range is fully formed. So we got to proceed with caution. We want to wait till we get that bullish confirmation. And one standard deviation should most likely take us into the daily consequence encroachment, the 4-hour high, and then our DSD high is all the way up here. But one step at a time. First things first, I want to see a 5M fair value gap be created and tapped. And I want to see the market get above this inverse fair value gap right here. NAS here on the left, US 500 on the right, just in case it's hard to see. We do have a lot of areas painted up. Anytime you see me painting up any additional zone, it's really just a fair value gap that I'm extending through. Ideally, I'd like to see a 5M fair value gap being created here, and then this low not be broken. That's the goal. But first things first, we have to get that 5M fair value gap. Then that becomes a protected low. And then the market tap that 5M fair value gap, create a 1M fair value gap, tap that, and then extend. That's the process. Wait for that sequence of events in that order. Hit a fair value gap, create a fair value gap. Do not get FOMO. There's actually, I believe it was Sunday. If you look at Sunday Bitcoin, New York session, like that morning session, you'll see that there was a hard fought win in there. And it took a very long time to push, but it did push, and it pushed exactly from our zones. But it was only because we followed it. Remember, we stalked it. You don't chase the market, but you stalk it. It created a 5M fair value gap, which it took forever to do. And then it 1M fair value gap that it tapped and extended from. But we waited. We waited and waited. And that's why you set alerts. So you can walk away and not have to sit there for 2 hours. I think that's what it took. I think it took 2 hours before that market actually pushed, but it pushed exactly within the zone that we outlined. Did not hit our, like, even come close to the stop loss. And then it just took off from there. 33 seconds left. This looks like the beginning of our fair value gap, but I want to see the next one be created above this inverse fair value gap. So another 5 minutes left. Again, just be patient. Especially on a day like today. Especially on a day where the usual footprint takes us down into the lows. Now it seems to be pushing pretty well. We're above this fair value gap, the inverse fair value gap. I want to see this fair value gap remain, be tapped, and then we get a bullish confirmation. That'll set the deal. More than enough points of confluence met then after that. I believe this is London's opening gap. I'm hoping it uses this to pull back into this fair value gap. And hopefully it doesn't take off without us. Now that we've done all this work, we've stocked it. We'd like to see that payout, but only if the market falls within our parameters here. 2 minutes, 27 seconds left. Remember, you want to set your take profit with your higher time frame PD arrays. We are sitting in a 4-hour fair value gap, and there is your previous day high. And it's not a coincidence that that is pretty much right here at the midpoint consequence encroachment of that 4-hour fair value gap. So it might only go as high as here. Just got to see if that's exactly what the market wants and if it fits our risk to reward, because we can't enter a position here only to go there with your stop loss down here, right? 1 minute, 25 seconds left. This would be a good entry with your stop loss down here. Take profit at that previous day high. It gives it to us. Okay, now we want to see this next candle come back into that 5M fair value gap, and maybe even a little lower to take to tap the 7 a.m. fair value gap right here, which is now becoming inverse. Ideally, I'd like to see the market stay above here, all candles closing above here. This looks like our retracement now. We do have a blue zone here too. Just got to be cognizant of the blue zone and the London fair value gap here as well. Two minutes left in this candle. Let's see if it leaves another fair value gap open, or if it makes its way down to our first fair value gap there. Just so we have that one marked off as well. 47 seconds left. So we did leave this fair value gap open. We could just tap this and go, but obviously we have to tap something. We're right at the top of the blue zone, right at the midpoint. There's two blue zones here. There's one, and another one. We'll just include this fair value gap for now. Just wait, be patient, wait for it to come into your fair value gap. Hit a fair value gap, create a fair value gap. If it leaves without us, that's fine. So we're almost about to take those highs which I believe US 500 just did, which means it could just start running from here. US 500 is actually under the blue zone and sitting inside of another one. Just remain patient. Here comes the 20 EMA, right into the consequence encroachment of both these fair value gaps. This is a good sign, the fact that we have this divergence. The market does actually want to push up from here. We just need a good foothold now. And as mentioned before, I'd like to see it stay above here, above the end dog and above this low. Just a higher low. Should be a protected zone. So we're close to tapping this fair value gap, maybe even pulling into the consequence encroachment, the 20 EMA. So as far as the spotlight strategy is concerned, this could be a early retracement. Remember what happens if we get an early retracement before we get a confirmation? The market could move fast after we get confirmation. It could use the first fair value gap created as a foothold and just push off of it. But we want to hit this fair value gap, and then we want to create a 1M fair value gap after we've entered it. Still just outside of that, excuse me, still just outside of that fair value gap. Still no foothold for us. Let's go back to the 5M for a second. So we are on the other side of the consequence encroachment of the London fair value gap. 17 seconds left. Let's see if it closes up here. No new 5M fair value gaps have been created, so we're still only focused here until we get a confirmation, that is. Closed above. Now let's see if US 500 keeps going up and leaving this fair value gap here. See if we clear this high and get our bullish confirmation. We have to have a candle close, of course. Close to a confirmation here on US 500, but still got 3 minutes 55 seconds left before this candle closes. Getting ready to take out London highs there. Previous day high. And let's see again if this confirmation sticks. this confirmation sticks, then it should use pretty much whichever fair value gap it creates next. US 500 really close to previous day high and the 4-hour consequence encroachment right here. It's already taken London highs, just tapped it. I'd like to see a full sweep and a tap up here. One minute 50 seconds left. We might not get a confirmation on this candle. I'd like to. Just want to check something here. EMA slowly making its way back up into this fair value gap. 28 seconds left. Let's see if US 500 at least gives us the bullish confirmation, which we'll use as divergence. Four, three, two, one. So we have the confirmation on US 500. Again, it could use any one of these. Well, this is the only fair value gap that's been fully formed so far. But it's also above, price is also above the blue zone now as well. So it could tap here, use the blue zone, and push up from there. There's London highs right there, just a little bit out of reach. Now we've fully swept London highs for US 500, sitting just below previous day's high. Now it's not a coincidence that previous day high for US 500 is right around the same area as London highs. See the distance from where we're at? But here's previous day highs for NAS. This is a good example of divergence. technically when it taps here and it taps here, that's roughly the same move. So you got to think of it from that perspective of like, we're sitting in a 4-hour fair value gap. Could it technically start pushing down from here after sweeping previous day's highs? And it technically could. That's the divergence. But as it sweeps previous day's high, we could at least sweep London highs and then push down. For the retracement and or potential reversal, but we have to see. We want to see it at least cross that zone. Two minutes left. Let's see if it leaves this fair value gap open. It could just use this one to push from. I'd like to see it cross there at least. We still have no confirmation. Remember, we have to wait for this candle to close above this line to get a confirmation on NAS. So that took away our confirmation. Now we're doing a pullback. US 500 pulling back most likely into this fair value gap. One minute left. NAS closes here. It could just use the blue zone or come all the way back down here. But we still have no confirmation on NAS. I don't like to see this kind of divergence. You like to see at least the confirmation stick. Because as mentioned before, we're sitting in a 4-hour fair value gap. This is not a good area to be sitting in for US 500. Especially when one doesn't give you the confirmation. Because out of the two right now, the weaker one is NAS. That means one of two things. Either NAS maybe doesn't need to take that liquidity or want to take that liquidity. Just got to proceed with caution here. So just like we were talking about London highs versus previous day high for US 500, that divergence, the blue zone and London's fair value gap is doing the same thing that this 5M fair value gap that was created here is doing for US 500. So the fact that we're bouncing off of this, now we can drop down to 1M and see if it's created the 1M fair value gap. So if this creates a 1M fair value gap and taps it, we can use that divergence to let us know that this thing wants to continue to push up. Right at a purple zone in between a blue and a purple zone. Still need to see one more candle print to see if this fair value gap stays open. So it's already closed there. 1107. Still no confirmation on NAS. Which is not a good sign. See if either of these creates a 1M fair value gap. Or if they want to retrace a little deeper. Use this as an inverse fair value gap as well. See if market gets above that. And again, creates a 1M fair value gap. So ignore this confirmation. This is just on the 1M. We still have no confirmation on the 5M. So immediately closing off that 1M fair value gap. We're still above this fair value gap, still above the purple zone. It's almost given us everything. Coming back into this fair value gap now. If we push past this, we'll just jump back up to the 5M and see exactly where this thing wants to go. Pushing past the 50 here. Let's see if it bounces from the 50. Still inside that fair value gap. Back in the blue zone we left. This little liquidity void here. Now this looks like it wants to go all the way back to the 20. But we do have the blue zone. We have London's fair value gap. A lot of areas that I could push from, but Jump back up to the 5. Blue zone here as well. Slowly making its way down to that first 5M fair value gap. Remember, our bias is still bullish. We're just looking for a decent entry here. But if it taps here, it's a good sign. If we tap here, get a rejection, get that 1M fair value gap. Still a good sign. Still right at that blue zone. 1 second left. About 15 minutes left in our stream. I thought it would have set it up by now. Could be getting it here. So we're still, again, right at that blues. We tapped the blue zone. Or is that a purple zone? It's hard to tell under here. Oh, that's blue, that's blue. Either way, one of our highly algorithmic zones is right there. So we could just bounce off that without even getting down to the 20 EMA in this fair value gap. That's why I'm open to seeing a 1M fair value gap be created here. At which point we would be interested. US 500 still at that purple zone, still at the 50, still in that fair value gap. soon as we take out these lows, we'll jump back up to the 5M. There's still a good play in here. Just shy of this fair value gap. Let's see if we tap it. And let's see what that looks like on US 500. We're at the London fair value gap. Back at the 20 as well, blue zone. There you go, we tapped it. Hit the 20. Now that we dug in deeper, I'm going to actually go back to our old fair value gap that we had lined up. Practically hit the midpoint of that. About 10 minutes left in our stream. I'd like to see if we get a setup here. We're very close, but it's got to fall within our time parameter. Our window closes literally 10 minutes. If this low gets taken out in the next 10 minutes, we're done anyways. This is a protected low as far as I'm concerned. So if the market's going to go up, it should go up from here. Also the fact that we swept London highs and just stopped short here on NAS. That could lead to a false day though, but let's see. Now we're sitting inside that fair value gap. Let's see if we create another fair value gap. 8 minutes left, still not seeing that foothold on the 1M. Now we're back at the 7 a.m. fair value gap. This is where our, 10 a.m. This is where our 10 a.m. candle opened on the 4-hour. So a lot of back and forth. This is a very deep retracement after range formation, but we're still within that area. This is our fair value gap, the 5M. This was still the only fair value gap that was created between here and here. Now we tapped all of it, but we're also under the blue zone now. Let's see what we get. Again, it might not create that foothold for us within the next candle. After this candle, we'll give it one more 5-minute candle and then we're done. It's all about timing. Sadly, all the telltale signs were there. It just doesn't look like it wants to push within our allotted time period here. And that's okay, you know, you gotta be able to walk away. In this particular scenario though, we did have a lot of confluence. Upside expansion model, double break to the upside. US 500's already swept London, very close to previous day high. Did not quite get a bullish confirmation on the 5M. Sixteen seconds left. Looks like it's giving us that 1M fair value gap now. Gotta wait, especially after all this slop. Now let's see if it taps here. US 500 back at that inverse fair value gap. Let's see if it can get over it. There's a blue zone there as well. That blue zone matches up with this purple zone. Now we're leaving a lot of breakaway gaps. So it's got to tap at least one of these. See if we get a 20 EMA crossover as well. Ideally, I'd like to get above this volume imbalance and use this. I can get rid of this actually for now. So we've tapped both fair value gaps here. Oh, deep. We'll follow this, but keep in mind tomorrow, Wednesday, we have non-farm payroll change. We have core PCE price index, and then obviously unemployment claims, and then non-farm payroll. So non-farm payroll week is very, very hectic. So that's the reason we're getting all this gesticulation. Look at these deep, deep retracements. I don't like to see this many deep retracements. It just makes it unfavorable. We're all the way back down to the 238 here. So we bounced right off that inverse. So if this thing can push up, close above here, I still want to see it close above this inverse volume imbalance. Use that and push off of that to the upside to take out London and previous day high. But it's looking to be a hard fought fight. So we'll conclude our session there. Maybe we'll recap this tomorrow. But that's our session. We'll see you guys tomorrow. And again, non-farm payroll week, so proceed with caution.